Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about COVID deaths. It is about the discrepancy between what the government says and what the World Health Organization says regarding the number of deaths. A familiar topic, not that difficult to comprehend or understand, and many words are familiar words. Let us start the session with editorial vocabulary. What is the first word? Usually, the word robust goes with a system. It also goes with a person. Robust, part of speech adjective, strong and healthy. You can also think of the word vigorous. Robust system. Robust. It also goes with persons. Death toll. Death toll. Usually we say toll. It goes with the number of deaths or casualties arising from a natural disaster, conflict, accident, etc. And here, what is a typical combination? Death, toll, a typical combination. Surge, we have got many a time. Part of speech, noun. It can also be a verb. A sudden and great increase. Surge in something means sudden increase in something. Mortality, part of speech, noun. Death, especially on a large scale. A lot of people die, death on a large scale. We use the word mortality. Inform is different, infirm is different. Part of speech adjective, not physically or mentally strong, especially through age or illness. Because of age or illness, someone is not physically strong, mentally strong. We use the word infirm, not inform. Disrupt, we have got many a time. What does it mean? Interrupt, disrupt, it could be. Usually it is a verb. Interrupt by causing a disturbance or problem. Interrupt what? An event, activity, or process. Usually this word goes with a supply chain. Deny, denied, part of speech, a verb. Refuse to give something requested or desired to someone. If you refuse something, then we use the word deny. Counter, part of speech, a verb. Countered, it's a regular verb. To react to something with an opposing opinion or action. It can be a noun as well. They give a counter, they have countered. Could be a noun, could be a verb. Cumulative, part of speech adjective, increasing or increased in quantity, degree, or force by successive additions. Not one time, successive addition, something increases. Then we use the expression, and this is an adjective, usually takes the word cumulative effect. Negate, part of speech verb, make ineffective, nullify an important word, nullify, make ineffective. Discrepancy, an important word, part of speech noun. There is a discrepancy between what the government says and what the World Health Organization says. Means what? An illogical or surprising lack of compatibility. They don't match. Lack of compatibility or similarity between two or more facts. What you think of yourself, what others think of you, they may not match. Then we say there is a discrepancy. Bulk, yeah, as a simple word, part of speech noun, the greater part of something. Here you have to recollect the idiom lion's share. Lion's share means what? Major chunk of something, greater part of something. Skew is a verb. Usually it goes with design. Designers use this word. Make biased or distorted in a way that is regarded as inaccurate, make something inaccurate, unfair, or misleading. Skewed information, bulk amount, very good. Corroborated, part of speech verb, confirm or give support to a statement, theory, or finding. Corroborate the facts. Not too many words, as I said, and a simple editorial, easy to comprehend because we have done so many times uh, editorials related to COVID 19. Engage, not dismiss. Engage, get engaged means what? Work on something. Don't dismiss, means don't keep it aside. Not easy to understand. When you read the next sentence, you understand the main idea of the editorial. Excess deaths measures are a robust way to estimate pandemic impact. Today, this editorial is all about excess deaths, the number of deaths. There's a discrepancy between what the government says and what the World Health Organization says. Related to that, based on that, excess deaths measures are a robust way, a robust part of speech adjective, strong and healthy, vigorous, to estimate pandemic impact. This is all about the impact of the pandemic, impact, negative impact. Obviously, a lot of people lost lives and an exact number of deaths, the impact of the pandemic. How do we find out? We have to resort to or indulge in a robust way to estimate pandemic. We have to depend on authentic or reliable measures. Excess deaths measures are a robust way to estimate pandemic impact. The release of a report by World Health Organization. This is the reason why the editorial has been written. Based on this, the discrepancy has come into the limelight. The release of a report by World Health Organization that estimates excess deaths during the COVID-19 pandemic to be nearly 10 times the reported COVID-19 death toll of 4.8 lakh in India between January 2020 and December 2021, the highest for any country, is not surprising. A lengthy sentence looks like a paragraph, but it says something is not surprising. What is not surprising here? The difference between the government says, let's say, 4.8 lakh, but the World Health Organization says it could be nearly 10 times more. There's a difference in the number. This is what precisely we call discrepancy. The pandemic did not just contribute to a surge in disease related mortality, especially of the aged and the infirm, but also disrupted health systems that could have resulted in many other avoidable deaths. There are 3 to 4 words in this sentence, and let us see the meanings of the words first. Surge means what we have got so many times. Usually, the word, the literal meaning, a regular meaning, typical meaning, surge means a sudden forward movement of a group of people or a tide. But here, sudden and great increase, it goes with the number of cases, number of deaths. Surge, sudden increase. Mortality, death, especially on a large scale. A lot of people die on a large scale, you come across deaths. Then we use the word mortality. Infirm, an important word, means not physically or mentally strong. What is the reason for that? Especially through age or illness. Disrupt, we have got so many times. Disrupt means what? Interrupt an event, activity, or process by causing a disturbance or problem. So, what does this sentence talk about? The impact of the pandemic. What is the impact of the pandemic? The pandemic did not just contribute to a surge in disease related mortality. Because of the pandemic, a lot of people died and the number has had gone up, especially of the aged and the infirm. Aged people and also those who are not physically in this context strong. Not only that, but also disrupted. Disrupt means interrupt health systems that could have resulted in many other avoidable deaths. Could have resulted. Fragile means weak. That is a bit different. Thank you very much. Here, that could have resulted, very important, could have resulted talks about a past possibility. Something was to happen. There was a possibility for something to happen, but it did not happen. Could have resulted in many other avoidable deaths. A robust main idea is being reiterated. A robust estimation of the excess deaths was necessary to understand the pandemic effect in India, where death registration after occurrence is not universal across states and medical certification of deaths is quite low in number. Why is it important when it comes to why is it important to indulge in or resort to a robust estimation of the excess deaths? Why is it necessary? Or why was it necessary? A robust estimation of the excess deaths was necessary to understand. Why should we do that? To understand the pandemic effect or impact. Today, whatever you see in green, I'm going to explain later. They go with grammar, important from exam point of view. to understand the pandemic effect or impact in India, where death registration after occurrence is not universal across states. Some states they register, some states they don't. They don't take it very seriously. It is not universal across states. That is one problem. And medical certification of deaths is quite low in number. After someone passes away, the death certificate, medical certification of deaths, is quite low in number, not substantial. The government has strongly denied the numbers and dismissed the methodology by saying that the World Health Organization approach is based on modeled estimates, not on actual data. This is all about the discrepancy. Obviously, the World Health Organization says whatever the number the government has projected, it is 10 times more. And obviously, the government has to counter. The government has strongly deny means what, to refuse the numbers and dismissed. On what basis it dismissed? Dismissed the methodology by saying that the World Health Organization approach is based on modeled estimates and not actual data. Actual data is something authentic, but modeled estimates not authentic, not reliable. It counter an important word, to react to something with an opposing opinion or action. To deny, to counter. First you deny, you refuse, then you counter. To counter, you need some, you have to substantiate. It countered it by finally releasing the Civil Registration System report for 2020, 2 days prior to the release of the World Health Organization report, and saying that the cumulative increase in the number of deaths in 2020 was only 4.74 lakh, lower than the corresponding number for 2019. So, how did the government counter? It released a particular report. What is that report? Civil Registration System report. It countered what the World Health Organization has said by finally releasing the CRS report for 2020, 2 days prior to, I will discuss this later, the release of the World Health Organization report, and saying that the cumulative increase, cumulative, an important word, part of speech adjective, increasing or increased in quantity, degree, or force by successive additions, not one time, successive additions, in the number of deaths in 2020 was only 4.74 lakh, lower than the corresponding number for 2019. While most deaths, close to two-thirds, occurred during the second wave in India from March to June 2021, and later in some states such as Kerala, and therefore the late release of the CRS 2020 report does not entirely negate the World Health Organization estimates that are based on registered deaths data available from subnational units. There is indeed a discrepancy for 2020 data. A very lengthy sentence. It looks like a paragraph. But what does it talk about? There is a difference, the time of study. Here, the government, if you take the report that was released by the government, the second wave occurred while most deaths, close to two-thirds, occurred during the second wave in India from March to June 2021, and later in some states such as Kerala. And therefore, the late release of the CRS 2020 report does not entirely negate an important word. What does it mean? Make something ineffective or nullify. Does not entirely negate the World Health Organization estimates that are based on registered deaths data available from subnational units. There is indeed a discrepancy for 2020 data. Means what the government says and what the World Health Organization says, they are not one and the same. They are not compatible. The World Health Organization estimates for states were based on CRS registration data obtained by news organizations, the bulk of them by the Hindu. Bulk means what? The greater part of something. The World Health Organization estimates what is the source for the World Health Organization. Estimates for states were based on CRS registration data obtained by news organizations, the bulk of them by the Hindu. For 2020, cumulatively, the excess deaths estimations close to 5.5 lakh for 12 states. For most such states for which data were obtained, Match the CRS 2020 calculations. CRS 2020 calculations 5.3 lakh. And for 2020, cumulatively, the excess deaths estimations close to 5.5 lakh. Here 5.3, here 5.5 lakh. Almost they match. Discrepancies. Then where do we come across discrepancies? Discrepancies are quite high for those states where CRS data were only partially or not available earlier. That has resulted in discrepancy. A case in point to substantiate that, a case in point, an important expression, is Uttar Pradesh, where death 8.73 lakh in 2020 versus 9.45 lakh in 2019, and birth registrations 48.5 in 2020, 51.3 lakh in 2019, fell significantly and therefore skewed the overall countrywide excess deaths numbers. There's one important word, skewed, means what? Make biased or distorted in a way that is regarded as inaccurate, unfair, or misleading. In this context, information related, not accurate, inaccurate. This particular data talks about something that is not accurate, something that has been skewed. But without the release of the sample registration system data, it is difficult to believe that in states such as UP, there has been an increase in registration levels, even while there is a decrease in actual birth and death registration. They are not corresponding with each other. The NFHS 5 2021 interviews show that death registration in 2020 was lower than previous years, as opposed to the government's claims based on CRS 2020. This again talks about discrepancy. This is all based on, related to discrepancy based on the data from various sources. The government must not dismiss the World Health Organization estimates and should instead look at undertaking its own exercise on excess deaths based on registration data in the CRS, SRS. So, what is the solution? What should the government do? The government must not dismiss the World Health Organization estimates, that is one thing, and it should instead look at undertaking its own exercise on excess deaths based on two sources, one registration data in the CRS and the other one SRS. After all, other methods, including surveys, have corroborated the fact that there was a high underreporting of COVID 19 deaths during the pandemic. How does the editorial conclude? After all, other methods like what? Surveys, including surveys, have corroborated an important word, confirm or give support to a statement, theory, or finding the fact that there was a high underreporting. Because of that underreporting, the World Health Organization says the actual number 10 times could be 10 times more underreporting of COVID 19 deaths during the pandemic. So that's all about the editorial, a familiar editorial. That's the reason why I did not spend too much time on the analysis. We have done so many times. And this editorial is based on data, that discrepancy, not difficult to comprehend. All that you have to look at the sources and the data, whether they go with each other or not. Go with means match, whether they corroborate or not, whether there is any discrepancy or not. The editorial says there is a discrepancy, obviously, and what are the reasons behind, and what are the sources behind, and what should be done based on that. Coming to consolidate your grammar based on editorial grammar. Now you have to listen very carefully. This all these words go with exam point of view, very important. And whenever you come across the word effect, you have to recollect or think of the word effect. What is the difference between effect and effect? Effect is a verb. Effect is a verb as well as a noun, but usage point of view, we use it as a noun. Effect as a verb goes with literary expressions and goes with the formal English. But exam point of view, remember this way: affect verb, effect noun. Effect means impact, impact of something. Quite again goes with a confusing verb, confusing words. What is the other word? Quite. Quite big. Quite is an adjective. Quite big means very big. Keep quiet. Quiet means what? Calm. Quiet place. That is also an adjective. But quiet means what? Calm. And quiet means very. Quite big. Quite big means very big. The number. We have got many a time. You have to recollect the number, a number. What is the difference? The number takes a singular verb, a number takes a plural verb. The number has gone up, and a number of students haven't come today. Singular verb, plural verb. Affect, effect, obviously different. Prior to. Here, this is again very important. You have to think of comparative adjectives. Comparative adjectives like anterior, posterior, senior, junior, superior, inferior, prior, elder, preferable, and the verb prefer. They all take the preposition to, but common error, a lot of people use than, which is not correct. Prior to, not than. Data, again, very important. You have to recollect nouns of Latin and Greek origin. Datum singular, data plural. But you must have seen they have used a plural verb after the word data. How come? A singular verb after the word data. What is the reason? Data can be the plural form, that is one thing, plural noun. But data is also a collective noun. Collective nouns usually take a singular verb. The data is quite useful. Nothing wrong. Don't think that data plural, we have to use a plural verb. Not always. Depends on the writer what exactly he wants to consider. Datum, beyond any doubt, singular. Now, singular also we use datum, data, but standard English, datum singular and data plural. But data is also a collective noun. Collective nouns usually take a singular verb. Again, we have fall, fell, fallen. Everyday English, everyone knows that. But there is another verb which is a regular verb. Fell, felled, felled. Fall, fell, fallen, irregular. But fell, fell, felled, a regular verb. What does it mean? It means to cut. To cut what? Trees. Once in SBI, they gave a question like, yesterday, they fell many trees in spite of the fact that a lot of residents objected. They fell many trees. It looks right. Yesterday, time goes into past. But here we are not talking about fall, fell, fallen. We are talking about fell, fell, felled. They fell many trees, not correct. They felled many trees, correct. But under pressure, not easy to make out. Enhance your comprehension skill based on the editorial. What are the likely questions? What is this editorial about? It's all about the discrepancy between what the government says and what the World Health Organization says regarding the number of deaths. What was necessary to understand the pandemic effect in India? Keywords necessary to understand the impact of the pandemic in India. When did most deaths? Close to two-thirds. Again, two-thirds very important exam point of view. Imagine this is a fraction. Imagine a fraction is a subject, two-thirds. Then two-thirds of the book is or are. There's an important rule. If a particular fraction is a subject, then the verb agrees with the noun in the phrase that follows the fraction. So, what is the phrase after two-thirds of the book? And what is the noun here, book, that is singular? Then we have to say two-thirds of the book is interesting. Imagine book singular, in place of book, we have books. Two-thirds of the books. Then we have to use plural. Two-thirds of the books are interesting. Based on the noun in the phrase that follows the fraction, we have to use a verb. That is very important. Exam point of view, very important. Not easy to spot the error. If the sentence is a lengthy sentence, unfamiliar context, rather difficult. What do the NFHS 5 2021 interviews show? The interviews show something. What do they show? What have corroborated the fact that there was a high underreporting. Keywords corroborated, underreporting of COVID-19 deaths. Again, easy to answer. Thank you very much. Who is this? Thank you. Now let us go to enrich your word power section. Editorial vocabulary. Try to write the part of speech and try to find out the meaning. Should not be that difficult. Robust part of speech adjective. What does it mean? Robust goes with a system and also with persons. Robust. Two-thirds of the book is interesting. Very good, Govardhan. When you write immediately your own example, that helps in the long run. You will be able to consolidate. Please remember, during the live session, you come up with the meanings, the words you know, the examples you can think of. That will definitely help in the long run. Two-thirds of the books are interesting. Very good, Divya. I appreciate that. Robust means what? Strong and healthy. You can also think of the word vigorous. Answer is D. Toll, death toll. Part of speech, noun. What is the meaning of that? Number of deaths, not the casual deaths, number of deaths based on a a particular accident or a particular disease. Then we use the expression death toll. Part of speech, noun, answer H. Surge could be a noun, could be a verb. What does it mean? Sudden increase in something. You can also think of the meaning sudden forward movement. A is the answer. Mortality, obviously noun. A lot of people die. Death on a large scale. We use the word mortality. Death on a large scale. Infirm, an important word. Inform, yes, usually it goes with deaths, casualties, accidents, war, diseases, epidemics, endemics, pandemics. Who is this? Yesterday also you said the same thing. Srinivas, please don't give the interval between. No, it is not like that. See, the point over here, some people are interested in the Hindu editorial analysis. Some students are interested in practice questions based on exam topics. I would like to find out how many of you are really interested in the Hindu editorial analysis. How many of you are really interested in practice questions based on exam topics? This will be this way. It is going to be this way for some time because I have been telling you guys, practice questions based on exam topics, no doubt they are important. No one can deny the fact. They are indispensable, means what? Very important. But that is the first level. Selection point of view, what is important? When you work on practice questions based on, uh, I will answer that. When it comes to practice questions based on exam topics, they deal with grammar and vocabulary to a great extent, beyond any doubt. But exam point of view, selection point of view, what is important? I have been telling you guys, a reading comprehension skill is a most important factor. I would like to reiterate, a reading comprehension skill and vocabulary, they go hand in hand. And when you read the Hindu editorial, one editorial every day, obviously you become good at reading comprehension skill, you become good at vocabulary, you become good at effective English. And these are the things you come across when it comes to mains. Mains, only a few people clear mains. If you take prelims, what is the number? 30 lakh. I was told last year, I suppose, IBPS, about 50 lakh candidates applied, half crore. And how many? The number of posts, if you take POs, 2,000 and junior assistants, 10,000. Look at the number 50 lakh, 2,000, 10,000. And prelims, a lot of people clear, 10,000 plus they take. But final selection, how many? 2000, 10,000. Then you have to ask yourself, being if you are a smart learner, if you are really smart, thinking of the selection, you should ask the question, how come only a few people get selected? What is the secret? The secret is reading comprehension skill and vocabulary. The more, the better. Every day you have to read. You have to read the Hindu paper, but not for more than 60 minutes. Then what happens? You get the competitive edge. I have been telling again, when it comes to a competitive exam, you don't have to be the best. You should be better than others. You should be better than others. Means what? You should have the competitive edge. How do you get the competitive edge? Read, and become good at reading comprehension skill and vocabulary. That's it. Here, part of speech adjective. What does it mean? Not strong physically or mentally because of age or illness. Answer is F. Disrupt an event, a process, part of speech verb we have got so many times. Interrupt an event or a process. Usually it goes with supply chain. B. And counter. Counter could be a noun, counter could be a verb. How to increase Nayak? You have been asking this question. There are two or three things you have to do. The first step, become very good at English grammar. Learn the concepts and the rules. You have to learn about 200 rules. I have been giving 200 rules. You can attend the evening session 7:30. First and foremost, you have to become good at grammar, the concepts and rules, and all the 200 rules should be at your fingertips. That is only the foundation. Then every day for 6 months, you have to read the Hindu paper. You have to spend time on previous year's papers, and you should become good at reading comprehension skill and vocabulary. After that, you have to practice topic wise exercise. You have to work on topic wise exercises. You have to take a lot of mock tests, and you have to work on previous year's papers. Then obviously you increase, the score goes up from the single digit. You may cross 20, you may get 20 plus out of 30. Many of my students, initially they would get 6, 7 out of 30. After following the tips, especially focusing on reading comprehension skill, earlier they would not touch the passage in the mock during the mock test, but they started reading, and immediate improvement, substantial improvement. In the actual exam, some of them got 27 out of 30, 28 of 30 out of 30, 28 out of 30. If they could get, you can also get. Very simple. You have to do something. Without doing anything, you cannot expect improvement. All of you should remember. Cumulative part of speech adjective, cumulative impact. What does it mean? Successive, increasing by successive additions, not one time. J is the answer. Discrepancy, noun. So, what is the meaning of discrepancy? Lack of compatibility. Compatibility means match. Answer is C. And what is the last word? An important word, negate. Part of speech verb means what? Nullify something, make ineffective or nullify. Beyond any doubt, when you read a lot, you become an intellectual. It helps current affairs, English, and reasoning. Three areas. You should be extremely happy. You have to read with a lot of passion. What are you left with? G. I don't know how many of you have got all the 10 correct. That is, I appreciate if you say, Sir, I got all the 10 correct. I'm coming up with new courses. So please download the app Murthy's English. Name of the app, go to Google Play Store, search for Murthy's English, download, and go to courses. You will come across new courses before Saturday. And also, do remember to subscribe and share, join the Telegram group. How many vocabulary words are enough to attempt mock? Not mock, actual exam. Never think of mock test. Mock tests are only to practice, to consolidate your knowledge. From the exam point of view, if you ask me, sir, how many words do we have to learn? You have to learn 10,000 effective words. Very good, Sairam. I appreciate that. 10,000 not simple words, 10,000 effective words. English has 8 lakh words. Then I'm telling you to learn 10,000 words. You should ask the question, so how do we know which 10,000? What is the source? Again, the source is the Hindu paper, one thing, and also previous year's papers. You don't have to go beyond these two sources. The Hindu editorials and the headlines, the words, and previous year's papers, very useful. Do remember, don't neglect the words. Enough, more than enough, 10,000. You will come to know Nayak. Please wait for 2 or 3 days before Saturday.